Just get the two of these the same. Now, welcome along everyone on YouTube there. Just get the angles right here. Now, so let's see there now. Morning Colette, morning Seamus, Nolene, morning. Make sure I have everything set up here. Excuse me here, just setting up my timer app. Interval training, perfect. And have my circuit ready. Okay. So, just to give a little introduction to everyone, well, first of all, first things we want, as ever, a good sturdy chair. Just fix that line a little. Good sturdy chair. If we have two light weights, that will be perfect. As I always say, if not, 2 bottles of water will do the job. And morning, Joseph, Carla, Etna, Maura, very welcome along. So, as I said last week when I delivered this class, this is specifically for COPD and people with associated lung conditions, but absolutely everyone is welcome along. But just be mindful that this type of class is particularly with people with COPD in mind. So some of the considerations and the style of this class is related to that in particular. But as we found last week, I think a lot of people enjoyed the style. It just means we'll work in a circuit type format. So just before I get into the main block of work, I'll try and show YouTube and Facebook here. We use our Borg scale in COPD. A lot of us will be familiar with this. So there's a scale 0 to 10. For the main block of work, we like to work at 3 to 4 out of 10. So if I rank how hard you find the work, it should be about 3 or 4. So we don't want to get really uncomfortable, really breathless, but we should be aware that we're working hard. And anyone with COPD, I'm sure will be quite familiar with what we mean there. So what I'm going to do is just get straight in with some movements. And just since I haven't introduced my name, it's Shane, by the way. I work South Dublin. And some of the COPD groups I've worked with would be Ballyfermot, Bray, Drimna, and a few others. So I have a bit of experience teaching some of the COPD classes. So I think what we'll do now is just get into a warm-up and prepare ourselves for the session ahead. So we can do this part seated and then we'll transition into standing for the rest of the session. So let's just go very simple and roll the shoulders back. So just before we move into our circuit using weights, we do want to gradually warm up joints, warm the body up, and just bring the heart rate gradually up as well. So we don't want to kind of jump into anything too fast, too vigorous. And then I'll roll the shoulders forward. And we'll also have a couple of breathing kind of stops along the way. Again, anyone with COPD will know the importance. Just taking a few seconds if you feel breathless, just to catch your breaths. Arms across chest, pull back, open out the chest. So just continue on, keep an eye on the comments. Sally, morning. Who else do we have? Joseph, Eileen, Peg, all very welcome along. Sir, I know I missed a few there, but I just wanted to kind of explain the type of session there. So just opening out the chest, very important. Bring hands to legs and stretch down, hands towards feet. And again, just particularly with COPD and these 11 o'clock sessions, just like to be nice and dynamic with the warm-ups. So we just want to bring that heart rate gradually up, prepare for the main movements ahead. Okay. And then I'll just take a nice light march on the spot. You can see, all right, I'm feeling warmer now. I can still hold a conversation, that's important. I'm not really breathless. We do always kind of, particularly anyone with COPD or a lung condition, do just kind of monitor how you feel. If you felt very breathless, just strip it back a little bit, okay? And just kick the legs out. And no real breaks in the warm-up here. We'll just keep a nice flow, lots of movement. And then lift your right leg up, forward in circles. And then reverse the movement, going backwards. And then we'll swap sides. So left leg forward in circles. And then reverse, and we will go backwards. Perfect. Next, I just want to extend right arm and right leg out. And then if I do the same on the left, so left arm and left leg, just extending out. And then again, I just want to bring arms across chest and pull back. Just like this movement with COPD, just opening out any kind of tightness around the chest, lungs, just opening out. Okay. And 3 more, 2, and 1. Perfect. Okay. So, morning Marie there as well. Betty, Kay, all welcome along. So, what I'm going to do is a little block of aerobic work. So anyone who comes to our COPD classes, we always say we like to get people up, active, moving. But this little block of work can be performed and mimicked in a seated position. So what I'm going to do is a march on the spot to mimic walking. And then we're also going to pair that with an exercise, which will be a knee lift. So what I'll do is if I hold the side of my chair, the action will be to lift the knee up. Okay, we'll do the right and the left. Don't get bogged down in it. I'll kind of guide us along. But all we want to do at the start is march, whether standing or seated. And I'm going to kind of tune us in to our clock for this part. And just moving the weights out of the way. Okay, so if you're comfortable standing or seated and with support if you want, let's begin with a nice light march in 3, 2, 1. And go. Okay. So as I say, just kind of mimicking that action of walking. A lot of the time with COPD, when we start to walk, move, we start to clear a little bit of mucus. We'll hear that kind of coughing. So just movement. A little bit impractical if I start walking up and down out of shot. So I think it's just best if we go with a march on the spot. But by all means, if you want to walk forward and back to the camera, that's absolutely fine. But we're just going to go with a march on the spot. And again, regulate that tempo. Everyone's different, particularly with COPD. If you feel very much comfortable here, or if you need to just slow the speed down. And said anyone without COPD, it's still a very good exercise class. So lots of movement, will use weights. So you can pick and choose from this session what you like. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Now, hold that position, and we're going to do a movement of lifting the right knee on its own. Okay, and let's go for 30 seconds with this action. So this is how I kind of typically start a COPD class. A little bit of walking paired with a movement. So I work on the hip here as I lift that right knee, and my left side keeps me strong, balanced, and stable. And again, use your chair for support if you need. And if you're in a seated position, you're just focused on that one action of lifting the right knee. Okay. And pause. Swap sides. Again, I have my support. And now I lift the left knee. 30 seconds on its own. Okay. And again, if you don't feel balanced, I want you to use that support. And if you want to perform this seated, and again, the tempo of regulation is important. Don't go too fast. Keep it under control. So if you need to go a little bit slower, don't feel you need to match my pace of movement. Okay. And rest. Take a few seconds. Just check comments there. Valerie and Mary, all welcome along. Double Mary there, very welcome along. A little progression. So actually what we'll do is return to a march. Okay. So again, let's just march on the spot for 60 seconds. So As I say, while this is with COPD in mind, movement, weight, it can be beneficial to us all. So again, you'll see here, I'm just marching at a nice steady pace, just mimicking that action of walking. I always say with COPD, we're trying to build up endurance in our lungs so that things like going to the shop becomes more practical, that I can maybe go to the shop without becoming breathless, and being able to do things around, like the house, for example, tasks without getting breathless. These are the little things we want to be able to do long term. So last couple of seconds marching. Slower than my pace if you need, for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reset. Okay? Now catch your breath. I always say if you feel breathless with your COPD, rest hands on the back of the chair and just take some pressure off the front here, off the chest. So just rest. Take that little breather. Big deep breath in. And big deep breath out. So again, air in. And out. So continue, recover if needed, if you feel okay. A little progression. Right foot off the floor, lift your knee up and down. And if you feel comfortable, keeping your foot off the floor. So now it's less march and more tension on that hip. And the standing leg keeping me supported. But I will use a little bit of support for this one, just to be mindful. And again, I know this might seem like quite high intensity. Do please strip it back a little bit. Don't feel you have to match me. Go at your own comfort with this work. And rest. Swap sides, maybe just a little jig. Shake the legs out. Left foot off the floor. And begin lifting the knee up and down. Keeping foot off the floor if you can. So it's like a pumping action. Keeping foot off the floor. But if I felt uncomfortable and wanted to rest the foot down, I would do that. Okay. So let's just finish this out. The last 10 seconds. And we'll just finish out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I just want to go for one last march on the spot, if you feel that's okay. Even if you wanted to finish it seated, absolutely fine. So let's march. One last block. Okay, so you guys continue to march. Just keep an eye on the comments there. Morning, Barbara Fitzgerald, very welcome along. Derek, good to have you with us. Not a problem there. Jonsa, if you're just joining us, maybe missed some of the warm-up, just start nice and light here. Don't rush in. Okay, just mindful to gradually build everything up. So don't throw yourself in 100 miles an hour when we move on to weights in a minute. Just gradually build up. Just make sure you feel warm, body feels loosened out before you get into some of the main movements. Okay, so let's just continue on. Just kind of with that in mind, let's go for another 15 seconds. And again, you'll see I'm not too vigorous with the march, just a nice, steady, rhythmic, consistent march here. 3, 2, 1, and rest, okay? And anyone with COPD will know even just that little bout of marching can make us, we can really feel the exertion of that. So at this point, if you need, again, a little bit of recovery, maybe against the back of the chair, or if you want a drink of water. Okay, so as you guys recover, I'm going to explain our first circuit, our first bout of movement. Okay, again, I'll be showing the movement standing, but if you want to adapt any movement, change a little bit or do it seated, that's absolutely fine. I always say with COPD, there's no kind of right or wrong, there's no like magical movement. It's just strength and aerobic work. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing an arm curl and you do a front raise. It's just that you're active for the block of time. That's all we want. Okay. So movement 1, I'm going to show you this one first. This is just demonstration. We're not on our times or anything yet. I'll hold the back of my chair. I lift my heels up, come down, and then a mini squat. So heels up, mini squat. So just make sure the movement is through the hips. So heels up And then from the hips, a mini sit down. And I go a quarter of the range of a squat. So I don't sit all the way down. I purposely just go a little bit. If you want to just focus on heel lift, absolutely fine. And you can do heel lift seated either. Okay. Movement number 2. What I want you to do is grab your 2 weights or 2 bottles of water and just bring them together up at your chest. And then nice and smooth, press away. And I'll try and keep the weight level with my chest so I don't let it drop. I keep it level. And I'll also keep the weights about an inch from my chest. I don't go in tight and rigid. Keep them about an inch or 2 from your chest with that press. Okay? Movement number 3. This will be quite a nice dynamic movement. A hip abduction with a lateral raise. So I'll just demonstrate. I hold the side of my chair, arm out and leg. But again, there's a lot going on here, so I'll just take my time. Weight no higher than shoulder level, and the leg just a couple of inches out. I don't want to lose shape of my body. I should stay tall and controlled. So we'll take our time with the movements, and then we'll swap to the left side. So think of it as 4 movements in total. Okay? So again, just to demonstrate, if you need to do that movement seated, what you're going to do is hold the weight by your side, arm out and lift the leg. Just arm out, lift the leg. And honestly, if there's just too much involved, just focus on lifting the arm. No problem. Okay, so 4 movements. Again, just one more quick check of the comments. When you're absolutely fine, and again, just take a couple of seconds to warm yourself up there. Well, a couple of minutes really. Don't rush yourself into the movements. Okay. So what I'm going to do is begin with our heel raises first. I'm just going to set my timer here. I have it in front of me. Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, we'll begin. Heel raise, mini squat. Heel raise, mini squat. So I lift the heels up off the floor, and then I just sit down a quarter of the range. And again, the movement through the hips. So 2 things together. Heels up, and then a mini sit. Heels up, mini sit. And again, if you think there's too much going on, just focus on lifting the heels up off the floor. Or just break it down. No, there's a lot going on here. Okay. And down. Yeah, sorry, just turn that off. Heels up, mini sit. Heels up, mini sit. And we just continue for 10 seconds. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. And rest. Okay, so rest, recover. Maybe just rest against the back of the chair. If you're sitting down, just rest the hands on legs. Okay. What we will do is just grab our 2 weights. And if we feel ready, up at our chest in 3, 2, 1, begin with a press. So again, just to show, the weights are together and I press smoothly out from chest. I'm going to show that from the side. So it's a little bit of a challenge to kind of keep the 2 weights or 2 water bottles connected. Even if you want to do just the 1, that's absolutely fine. And I smoothly press out. So main thing is not to kind of push really fast. Keep it controlled, in line with your chest. I know my head might be out of shot on Facebook there, but I just really want to show you the movement is staying in line with my chest. And again, if I'm finding it tough, drop 1 weight, 2 hands on the 1 and continue like that. Absolutely fine. Even without weight, no problem here. And 3, 2, 1, rest down. Okay, we'll drop 1 weight out of the movement now. Set yourself up, whether seated or standing, And we're going to do our arm raise with leg lift as well. Okay, 3, 2, 1, I begin. Arm out, leg out. So the arm will get to about shoulder height. The leg will just lift a couple of inches. There's a little bit of coordination. There's 2 parts to this movement. So you'll notice the tempo is very controlled here. There's really no speed involved. There's no hurry. And this is quite a dynamic, like quite a challenging movement. So really, let's not speed this one at all. Let's keep it controlled. And honestly, if you find it tough, just break it down, focus on the one part, whether that be the leg or the arm. Again, upper body is fixed, it's tall, it doesn't change shape. And we finish out our last couple of lifts. Weight to about shoulder height, and leg lifts lateral at the same time. Last few seconds. We'll go for 3, 2, 1, and rest. I'm just going to change position. Chairs to this side, just so you guys have the best kind of view of the movements. Weights now on my left hand, and my left leg will work. And again, I do want support if I'm doing this standing. So let's begin. 3, 2, 1, and lift out. Weight, shoulder height, max. Leg a couple of inches out. Keep the toes pointed straight, and my body doesn't lose shape. Okay? So I feel balanced and in control. And what I like about this movement, even though my left arm, my left shoulder, and left hip is working, my right side has to keep me balanced and stable. So there's a lot of challenge, a lot of work with this movement. And I just keep it all controlled. I take the time, reset between each rep. And again, if you wanted to drop one part of the movement, whether it be the arm or the leg, we do that. Again, there's no hurry. Keep this controlled. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay. So, a couple of seconds, or longer than a couple of seconds, I should say. What we're going to do is just rest, recover. Okay, just keeping my clock there. What I want us to do is put hands onto our belly and close the eyes if it helps you connect with this movement. And what I want to do is fill my belly with air, expand it, and then I'll slowly release. And just having the hands there can kind of guide the movements. So let's take a little bit of recovery here. Hands on belly, air in through nose. Think expand, fill the belly with air, and then release. Air in and release. So the idea is I don't stay shallow in the chest. I try and get air all the way down. So again, air in, fill, expand, and then release. Let's try 2 more. Once more. And release. Okay, and again, if you're sitting, just to kind of rest the arms on the legs, take a little recovery, or if standing, can kind of just rest against the back of the chair. And that can actually take some of the strain off the lungs. Equally, drink your water. Okay, so we're going to perform a second round of those exercises, and then we'll move into a fresh little block of work. Okay, so again, if you found any parts really uncomfortable, slow it down a little bit. And if you feel very breathless at any point, I'd always say just sit down, rest, recover, and join in when you feel ready. So don't force yourself if you are feeling very uncomfortable. So if we feel okay, let's get ourselves into position. And set up my timer again. Up to the back of the chair, or you can do this seated if you prefer. And we're going to start off with our heel lifts and knee bends. 3, 2, 1, and begin. Heels up. Up onto my toes. Down from the hips. Little mini squat. Very small little range. Heels up, mini sit. Heels up, mini sit. And you can see that range as I go down. It's very small, very controlled. I said at the start, a quarter of the range. So I'm not sitting or squatting here. I'm doing a quarter of that movement. I just make sure the hips nice and loose here. Up on the toes, down for mini sit. Again, we'll just continue. Might feel back of the leg is a little burn. And we also just kind of prepare for the squat or sit to stand, which we will do a little bit later in the session. Let's just keep going. Last few seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay. Recovery, rest in between. We have time on the clock to rest, and even regardless of that, take longer if you need. Okay. So what I want to do is grab 2 weights, or if you found the press difficult, 2 hands on the 1 weight is fine. Up at chest, and let's begin. Press slowly out. And I think it's best if I show from the side. You can see I try and keep the weight in line with my chest, so I don't let it drop to my tummy. And again, I'll keep the weight about an inch or so from the chest. I just don't want it to come in too tight. Just keep a little bit of tension as I press forward. Nice and smooth, out from chest. Okay. And again, really tiring. I'll just drop 1 weight, or even just complete this pressing action without any weight. You can clench the hands and press out from chest. Okay. So let's finish out. We have 10 seconds. And 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest down. Okay. So at this point again, I'm going to drop 1 weight, and I only have the 1 now. I'll set myself up beside the chair. Again, support is important here. And we're going to do our lateral side lift, arm and leg. So let's begin. Right arm, right leg. So again, the weight no higher than shoulder level, and the leg just a couple of inches to the side. Appreciate there's a lot of work here. There's 2 parts, while also the left side keeps us balanced. But just to counter that, I just keep this slow. There's no hurry. If I was to do this really fast, I kind of just lose control, lose connection. If I keep it slow, little pause between each rep, and keep nice control. So again, right arm, right leg. Arm to about, or the weight to about shoulder level, no higher. And the leg just a couple of inches to the side. Don't force it to a point that you lose shape of the upper body. I should stay straight throughout this movement. Last seconds. And rest. Okay. Take your time. Just going to switch sides. And as I've said a couple of times, honestly, if that feels just as too much, just focus on the arm raise or the leg. Absolutely fine. So, if comfortable, nice tall, hold the side of the chair, left arm, left leg. So again, weight, shoulder level, leg, couple of inches out, reset. So again, whilst as I say, it is a difficult movement, you do take the time to reset. And if we just control, regulate, we'll have no problem. Okay. So again, shoulder as active as I lift the arm out, hip as active as I lift the leg out. Strong on the right side. It keeps me balanced, stable, and in control. Again, just check yourself if you feel uncomfortable, just to reduce. Maybe take 1 part out of the movement, even take the weight out of the movement. Just avoid going fast at any point. Keep this slow and controlled. And rest. Okay, so rest the weight down. Again, if at this point you feel you need to just recover, rest against the back of the chair. If you're sitting down, just rest the hands on legs. Just take some of the pressure off our chest. Okay? Turn our clock off here. So what I want us to do, a little recovery in between again. Hands onto belly. And we're just going to do some big deep breaths in again. Again, don't worry too much about I can't connect the way he's saying. It takes a little bit of practice. And it's one you can try with the eyes closed and lying flat on the bed maybe after this. Because I do appreciate people do always say in class, I can't connect with the breathing the way you're saying. But it does take a little bit of practice. So hands on tummy. Air in. Let's fill the belly with air. So into your nose. Expand, fill, and then release. Air in and release. Air in, fill, expand, and then release. 2 more. And release. Once more. And release. Okay, so it just is important with our COPD that we do take the time, feel a little bit breathless, maybe anxious at any point, that you do just take your time, get some air in and back out. Morning, Rachel, no problem at all. So what I'm going to do is introduce a second circuit, a second little block of work. We might do 3 rounds of this one, and I just wanted to give a little bit of variety. So let's demonstrate the movements before we do anything. And the first one will be a sit to stand with a weighted pass. So grab your water bottle or one weight, sit slightly forward in the chair, feet in a nice strong position, nice and tall. I'll stand up, pass the weight from one hand to the other, arms back down, and sit. So I'll demonstrate that again. Just lean forward, stand up, pass the weight from one hand to the other, and sit back down. Now, number 1, if that's just too much, drop the weight, arms across chest, and we'll do it without the weight, or even a little push from the arms of your chair or the side of your chair. If the whole sit to stand isn't comfortable, leg extension is your other adaptation. Okay? Movement number 2. We're just going to go with an arm curl with a little bit of a twist. I'm going to come close to the camera so you can see. The weights are just in by my sides. Lift and twist. Hopefully you can see that. So again, just lift and twist. And just with that little twist and rotation, just really open up the arm. That's all we do. Okay. So that will be our second action. Little arm curl. Number 3. This will be a stepping action. Again, I would say if you are comfortable, bear the weights for this one. If you want to do it without the weights, we can do it like that. So, right foot tap, left foot tap. So this will be a weighted march. Some people know in the class, we sometimes do a farmer's walk. We're just mimicking that. Now, if I don't feel balanced, comfortable, I'm going to do this without the weights, just that I can use my arms for a little support. Main thing is, I don't want to rest weight onto the chair. I keep this light, so I barely tap the chair. And if the chair height is too high, stand back a little bit and just do a march or a little lift to a point you're comfortable, and don't worry about the chair. And again, that action doesn't change if you're seated. We can bear the weights. Big lift, okay? Movement number 4 will be a shoulder press. Again, this is one we like a lot in COPD. It's a powerful, strong movement. Some people might find this one difficult, so I will adapt. I hold the weights roughly in line with my ears. I press up, slowly down, up, slowly down. Now, if I want to do that action without weights, I'll just clench the hands. It's still a powerful, tough movement without weight. If a lot of us do sometimes have problems with overhead, what I would do instead is front raise. So if you're not comfortable with the hands overhead, we'll just raise the weights in front. Okay? So 4 movements, and let's begin our circuit now. Okay? So sit to stand with weight. So let me just set up. Clock is on. And we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, begin. And lean forward, stand, pass the weight, sit back down. Take your time, don't rush. Stand, pass weight, back down. If there's too much with the weight, we'll just leave the weight out. And again, if you want to just extend the legs, if this is too much, that's also absolutely fine. So again, lean forward, stand, pass weight, and sit back down. And let's take our time. No hurry at all with this movement. Again, you may have started with the weight and maybe need to finish without the weight. That's fine. Adapt during the exercise as required. So sit to stand with weighted pass. Last one. And sit down, okay? So you can grab our 2 weights. You can do this standing or seated. Begin with the weights in by your side. So the palms of the hands face into your hips. Okay? And let's begin in 3, 2, 1, and curl up and twist and back in. So you can see just as I lift the weights up, I get a little rotation and the palms of the hands curl towards shoulders. We're just showing a few from the side as well. Again, if I can get a little squeeze at the top and just get a little connection opening out that arm. So again, the palm of the hand goes from facing into the side to lifting up towards shoulder. So you get a little rotation, a little twist as we lift the weights. Okay. And we'll continue on. As I say, sometimes it's best if I don't say what's left on the clock. Let's just keep going. If you're starting to tire, 1 arm at a time. 10 seconds. Feel very breathless, you would just stop, rest, and recover. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay? So, if you feel comfortable, we'll continue to hold our weights. And this will be our toe taps to the chair. Again, if that's too high, we'll forget about the chair and just a little lift to the knees. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and begin. Tap and tap. So if this is comfortable, if the height is fine, I'll just get that little tap of the toes onto the chair. If it's too high, I don't aim for the chair. I'm not going to force something that's uncomfortable or make me feel unbalanced. Equally, if I want to drop the weights out of the movements, I will do that. Okay? So with COPD, you just adapt, change, whatever works for you here. There's no pressure. Choose the level that's right for you. Again, I just keep this controlled. I'm not rushing. Again, hips very active. And I'm also bearing, holding the weight here, if comfortable. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay. Now, sit down, or I'd say sitting down will be best actually for this movement, and I'll give the best demo here on camera. So, hold your 2 weights, couple of seconds rest. So we're going to set ourselves up, weights side of head, and press. Now again, if I wanted to maybe do 1 arm at a time, that's fine. If I want to do this without weight, that's fine. And if that movement just isn't comfortable, raise to shoulder level. That will be a big adaptation, okay? If you're comfortable, nice smooth press. And I just say to pause at the ears so there's no bounce. Sometimes in class what happens is we kind of speed on this movement and we bounce the weight up and down, and we might just make the shoulder a bit uncomfortable. We always want to keep that nice, slow control. As I say, if it's getting too hard, one arm at a time, even finish the movement without weight. And if overhead isn't right for you, just raise the weights in front. Front raise is absolutely fine. You're still working the shoulder. And rest. Okay, so just let the weights down. Rest to recover. Again, might just be a case of just sitting forward, taking pressure off the chest, lungs, just getting air in and out. Okay, worth doing it in a seated position. And grab some water. Okay, so we'll go again, another round. Hopefully that's all okay so far. As I said, that's kind of with COPD, we work in a circuit type format. It's a hard enough type of class, but it's a lot of strength and aerobic work. So I say it is kind of with COPD in mind, but even if you're here without COPD, you're very welcome along, and it's still a good exercise format. But just remember to work within your own level of comfort. Don't push anything too hard. I use times and blocks of time here, which people with COPD would be very familiar with. But if you find it's a little bit intense, do just strip it back a bit. Don't force yourself through anything you're not comfortable. Okay, so we're going to set our clock up again, and we're going to go with our sit to stand with weight, if that's okay. So, sitting comfortable in the chair, a little bit forward, one weight, and I begin in 3, 2, 1, and start. Lean forward, stand, pass the weight. Reset, new rep. Lean, stand, pass. Again, if you want to do this action without the weight, we can just do that same action without the weight. It's still a very tough movement. And if you want to perform this seated, we just extend the legs out in front, one at a time. So you just pick and choose whatever is right for you. No pressure is the main thing. You see there, I maybe just went a little bit fast on that last one. Just reset, keep it controlled. You're working for a block of time, so you're going to get a lot of movements in. Don't worry about how many you do. Just think you're working for a block of time. And down. Okay. Second movement. We will grab our 2 weights, standing or seated. Thanks very much, Eileen. That's great. Great, Mary, as well. Brilliant. Glad you're enjoying it. Hold the weights by your side. Palms of the hands face into the hips. And let's begin. Lift and then twist. So again, back into your sides. Lift and twist. So sometimes with the arm curl, we just go up and down. I just like to add this little twist in sometimes. I find it just opens the arm a little bit more, that's all. So again, start from the side and up. So just lift and twist, that little rotation. Rotation is really a better word because this is a nice smooth action. And I'm just getting a little squeeze at the top on the arms as well here. Again, if at any point I feel really breathless, uncomfortable, I rest. So there's no pressure. Don't force yourself here if you feel uncomfortable. Last 10 seconds with this movement. And again, it's not about can I do 10, 20. It's doing as many as you comfortably can in the time. Rest. Okay. So hold on to the weights. Again, we should know by that first one, if we're okay with the chair, that's great. If it's just too high, we don't worry about tapping our toes to the chair. And if we're doing it seated, big lift. Okay. 3, 2, 1, begin. Toe tap, toes tap. swap right and left. And again, just for that extra little challenge, if we feel balanced, we're holding 2 weights throughout the movement. Now again, if this is too high, I don't worry about tapping the chair. And if I want to do this without the weight, I just rest the weight down. And if you're seated, you can hold the weight still, and you just get a big lift with your knee. Right knee up, left knee up. So mimicking the same action, whether standing or seated. I know I repeat it a lot, but it's just about picking a movement, the level that feels right for you, and just working through the time. Last couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay? Again, we'll just sit back to the chair. A movement like a shoulder press is probably best seated because you have a little bit of back support. When you're standing, the back can arch a little bit and people can get a little bit of pain with it. So best performed seated in any case. Weight side of head, press, back level with ears. Again, I just use my ears roughly as a reference point, as a start and stop point. Press, slowly down. Press, slowly down. And again, if I find this quite difficult, one arm at a time is fine. Or even just clench the hands and press. Equally, for some of us, if that still isn't right, I want you to just raise the arms in front. So you just pick again the level that's right for you. Okay, so let's just finish out. Last couple of reps. We go for 10 seconds. Just finishing out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so rest those weights down. Great work there. Brilliant. Okay. So, a lot of hard work there. Just check. Thanks very much, Bernadette. That's great. What I'll do is, just kind of mindful of time. I don't want to push us too hard. We'll do one more round if that's okay, but I'll strip the time back on my clock here. So we worked for a minute on each movement. I'm just going to strip it back to 45 seconds. If at this point you feel you've done enough, that's absolutely fine. Don't force it. So if you start particularly in mindful of COPD, if you feel quite breathless, like you've done enough, I would just rest at this point. Okay? But if we feel okay, we will do one last round. Okay? Shorter blocks of time. So, again, my chair is out. Sit to stand with or without weight. In 3, 2, 1, begin. Stand, pass the weight, and back down. Again, I lean forwards, stand, pass the weight. So every time I stand, I just pass the weight from one hand to the next. And again, take your time. I always say it's natural to kind of speed through the last round. Keep the same control. You're working for a block of time. It's not about how many reps you do. It's just you comfortably pushing within that time frame. It doesn't matter if you do 5 of this movement or 10. Whatever is right for you. And rest. Okay. Movement number 2. We'll grab our 2 weights. Hold them in by your side, so palms of the hands face into my hips. And let's begin. A couple of seconds rest. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Lift and twist. Back down. So again, lift and twist. So I just open up the arm with that little bit of rotation. And again, as I get comfortable with the movement, give a little squeeze at the top. Really try and connect with your arm. So again, just lift and rotate. Just getting that nice little squeeze in the arm. Okay. And again, we're working in a shorter block of time. And I'd always say that with COPD, work in a time frame, whether it's 30 seconds, 45, you can change the blocks of time to whatever's right for you. And rest. Okay. Hold the weights, last 2 exercises. As ever, you don't force it. If you felt at this point really breathless, you don't go, well, there's 2 left, I'll push through. No, you would rest first and foremost. Let's begin. 3, 2, 1. Toe taps. So again, we know by this third round, if we are in control, we get our toe taps onto the chair whilst holding weight. If the chair is too high, lift, and we don't need to worry about tapping the chair. Equally, if I want to leave the weights down, I just rest them down. Okay, and our second last movement, finishing out 15 seconds. Again, just kind of avoid speeding through, keep the same control throughout. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And we sit back to the chair for our last movement. Again, same procedure, whether the first or the last. If you need to rest, you rest and don't force anything through. Shoulder press. So, weight side of head. 3, 2, 1. Smooth press. Again, the weights start in line with the ears and we press. If I want to do one arm at a time, which I'll demonstrate, that's fine. And if I need to do a front raise instead, they're all whatever is right for you. And equally, clench the hands if we want to finish without the weight. So, just going to finish out the last couple of reps. I'm just going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so leave our weights down, and there's our clock. So, again, rest, recover. Just show from the sides. I always say, just rest the hands down on the legs, and rest the arms, elbows down. Take some of the strain, pressure off the lungs and chest here. Just relax. Air in, air out. Take your couple of seconds in that position. Grab a drink of water if you want. And what we're going to do is move into our cool down. So a couple of stretches just to relax the body down. Okay. So again, if you need to take a little bit longer to recover, just to kind of catch your breath, by all means do that. And just join in with the stretches when you feel ready. So what I'll do is lift the right leg out. I'm always jumping around, I can't stay still. Right leg out, pull the toes in. Just want to give you guys the best view of the stretch. So that calf, because we did work on the calf. So we pull the toes in, hold the stretch. And rest. Left leg, pull the toes in, hold that stretch. And then rest. Okay, next one. 2 points. Sit forward in your chair. Bring the leg out onto the heel of your foot. Okay. So I'm going to go through 3 points. So lift out to the side. Lift to the front. Pull back onto the toes. So now I go from the toes to the heel, which is in front. And then I lift the leg out to the side. So I get hip active now. Lift back in front on my heel, pull back to the toes. 3 points again. Out on my heel, in front, lift out to the side, lift back in front, and onto my toes. And rest. Just shown from the opposite side. Again, 3 points. So just go out on the heel of your foot, of your left side. Lift the leg out to the side, lift back in front, and pull back onto your toes. So again, I straighten out onto my heel and out to the side. lift back in front, onto the toes. So once more, heel out in front, I then lift to the side, back in front, and back to my toes, and rest, okay? Now, what we'll do next is we'll combine a little bit of upper body, a couple of stretches with some breathing, okay? So what I'm going to do first of all, very simple, just bring the elbows in, hands face each other, just so you have a nice view of that. Elbows in, hands face each other, and draw a big deep breath in. So air in through nose, arms open, elbows stay in, and then release. Again, air in and release. Air in and release. 2 more. Once more. Okay. And again, let's just go for another chest stretch. Arms across, pull back. That nice W shape here. Best if I sit back. So I'm not focused on the breathing for this one. Just relax, hold the stretch. Pull back. So we did this as a fluid movement at the start, but now we just do it as a kind of static hold. Back in, and once more. And back in. Okay. And then just lift the shoulders nice and high up to the ears. Hold for a few seconds. Pull down, actively pull to your hips. Just important you take the time to relax the body after an intense block of work like that. Lift the shoulders up. Slowly pull down. Okay. And once more, there is lots of different breathing techniques with COPD, but I'm just kind of mindful it can get a little bit tricky, particularly when I'm teaching on camera. So I think it's best to maybe focus on one movement, practice a little bit, and then see how you find it. So hands on belly, one last time. Close the eyes if it helps you connect with the movement. Big deep breath, air in. In through nose, I fill the belly and release air back out. Big deep breath, air in. Release. Again, big deep breath in. Fill the belly with air and release. 2 more. And once more. Okay. So that concludes our session today. Really thanks to everyone for joining us. As I said, that is with COPD and lung conditions in mind. It's just kind of like a little snapshot of the type of workout we do. But equally, anyone who doesn't have COPD, again, thanks very much for joining us. I know it is a little bit of a different style. There's a certain kind of intensity we like to keep to that session. So really well done for participating. So enjoy the rest of your day. Well done to everyone. And again, do just remember to like, subscribe, and share the page. And we'll see you again soon. I'll check all the comments. I just have another little job to do now. But I'll check the comments in about an hour's time. So any questions, anything you're not sure of, I will check it all out in about an hour's time. But thanks very much, everyone, and enjoy your day. And thanks YouTube, Marie. Hopefully you found that okay. A tough enough session there. So well done on participating. Really good work.